Yahoo Prof here, and as you can see, I've got quite a few tactile turn pens. Bit of a fan, you might say. Now, those aren't actually the pens, they're just the boxes. And I know many of you are going to be like, oh, you're going to keep those, right? No, they're going in the bin. And you've seen why. I get those Karas cubes, those are the pocket ones. Not a huge fan, but those are the limited edition ones this holiday season. And then here is where all my pens live. That way, well, normally they're not up there. In my office, they would be at the edge of the desk right there. That way, when I need a pen, I can grab the one I want. If I'm going to work, normally my keys are right next to it. Keys, sunglasses, etc. And I can just be like, oh, I'm feeling, the pen type C in gloss orange today. That's what we're going with. Or, say we want to keep it, old school and rock the OG tactile turn, safety first, seasonal. Yeah, we can do that. And they're in order as well from when I got them. Oldest is here, newest is the back corner. So we've expanded over time quite a lot. And here's why. I got a milled, a tumbled, milled, a tumbled, tumbled. I could go with another milled in there. But I prefer to get, if I can, a different color. So that's why we went with the pocket ones this time. They were also a pretty good deal, but just to show, yep. I'm a bit of a fan of tactile turns products. And yes, I am not keeping the boxes. I used to keep mouse boxes too. So, for example, I have a wash basket just full of retail mouse boxes. There are no mice in them. If you watch any of my other videos, you know how I store them. What's the point? So I took pictures of all of these, and they're going away. Why do I bring that up? Well, because I got another tactile turn pen. Of course. Right? Of course. Yeah, for those that know what that is, you'll know what I'm opening. We just put in a fresh blade here, so this should just be... Where'd that guy go? That's a trick. You're gonna be like, why don't you use the pull tab? We've been over this. Go back and watch some similar videos. There's a reason why. It never friggin' works. Whereas sharp knife, always sharp, turns out. Well, not always sharp. If you replace the blade, it's always sharp. So, we got a pretty normal box there. And another sticker. It's the only way to see how many of these I have. I freaking a mound, a literal mound of these tactile turn stickers. If I ever have to ship them out to somebody. Oh geez, I knocked my pile of stickers over. They're going everywhere. They're going everywhere. So, what pen is it this time? Well, which new ones did they come with? Oh, no. It's not a new one. It's I don't want to say old, but older one. One I didn't even know about, actually. And it turns out I might know why now. Because, boom, Texas Blade Show side click standard, that's length, so I can use Uniball or G2 is what it's going to come with, right? So this was never available from their website, but I saw it on their Instagram feed and was like, I need that. I'm like, I have never seen an orange clip on any of your pens. And I have all the ones, besides the Montana Knife Co. And I have all the ones you've done that on. What pen is that? And they're like, oh, I think we have some. Reach out. It still took, because of, probably partially because of the holiday. Let's see here. December 10th is when I sent a follow-up email. Had to eventually send them a screenshot, which was from, oh yeah, because Instagram doesn't give you exact things. It was just said 3 weeks ago, and that was on January 2nd. So like, think about first week of December. 9th is when I actually submitted my ticket to try and get one. I just realized there should be 2 of these springs someplace. That's a tactile turn spring. When I was cleaning out the boxes, I noticed some rattling, and so like I had taken out the stock springs, and I think I just hadn't made a box or a baggie. I got a little Ziploc baggie for them, and I had 2, and I don't know where. Well, we'll find it eventually, hopefully. Kitten probably got it, would be my guess. Yeah, got one of them. I do keep them, even though I will probably never move it back to from a G2 spring to a tactile turn spring. But I've also had other ones where like they ship with a G2 spring, and sometimes it feels like they're not strong enough. So yeah, there. See, tactile turn springs. Because often on these slim and now M-Bright, I switch it back to a G2. I say back to because that's what the refill that it came with would have had. But yeah, this is the Texas Blade Show 2024 exclusive pen. You can see in there on the other side of the clip, 2024. Blade Show exclusive Whataburger pen, and I thought it was white, but it is. It's a little bit of a gray. It's actually probably more gray than the. I think they called it Nexus. Wait a second here. See. Ooh, I forgot I had this guy, Ultim TI2. But here's the only other white. It's definitely a gloss white. When I picked this up, I think because of the gray cap or something, I thought it was more of a gray. Also, gray would go really good with that purpley pink color. So this is definitely a gloss or a semi-gloss, and this is definitely a matte. There's even some, I want to say there's some metallic flake in it. Let me check with the flashlight. Yeah, there's definitely some metallic flake in it. So this is the only other white one I have from Tactile Turn. And this is their Nexus seasonal. And just for example of how many I used to not get, this is number 5 for the cube, right? And between this seasonal, which I actually really love this one. This is probably actually my number 2. Or at the time when I was asked, it would have been my number 2 behind the Nautilus one. And people were surprised because it's pretty busy. But I don't know. I think it's because I just ended up getting a good one that has a nice, consistent yet random-ish finish. But here, look. Tactile turn. This is the previous season. Then their smooth operator, which that was hell to get through. Gen 1. Still don't have a clip that's got my stuff on. But then right after that is the Nexus. This is probably one of the worst, in my opinion, at least, seasonals. Like, it's fine. Nothing special, though. You know, then one more pen. After that, we got Airplane, Titanium, just tumbled. Look at that, no grip up here. No, normally there'd be a grip up here on these. They call it, so it's the Smooth from Keras, the Retract. Right after that, the next season, which is the 8-bit. This one I had trouble with, where if you notice, it switched out to a juice up. I like using in the slim bolts. I like using Uniball. Fits perfectly. Throw just a G2 spring in there, and you can fit a Uniball without any modifications in it. The side clicks, however, work really, really well with the juice up refill. You might be able to see in there. However, when I got mine, I couldn't take the tip off. And that is what spawned me getting, because they said they could, but they had to use tools. And I'm like, I didn't have any tools. I want to wreck it. That's what spawned me picking up. Oops, sorry about bumping the camera. This guy, which is one they use for assembly. It's got nylon jaws that are replaceable. And Japan being Japan, they give you a second set out of the gate. When this one came back as well, it shipped not tightened down to the O-ring to make sure I could get off. Because I was like, hey, if you don't want to tighten all the way, that is fine. Because the first thing I'm going to do is take out your refill and put in a different refill. Then you saw the Ultim TI2 design. And Tim got this blue clip on it. So I believe this is the second one because it has these lines here. I think there's like a plain one that didn't come with a clip, and he didn't know. The reason why I didn't ship with a clip because he didn't know if the Ultim would be strong enough. I ran it as such, was strong enough. If you notice, the next Ultim had it. Then we have, I finally bought the Stealth. This was the only seasonal for the longest time I did not have. Here's where Tactile turn is great, by the way. This bolt, but the guy said, what I wanted, here's why it was hard to get the Stealth. I wanted a standard, because that is all I buy, because I want to use those refills, with the sight that they have on the back, which is tritium sight or dot on the top, right? That was like a $50 adder back in the day, I want to say. Finding for a reasonable price, not skyrocketed, selling for multiple times what it was worth, standard, with that, almost impossible. This is also DLC coded. That's actually why I didn't originally buy it, is because it's just DLC coded. You could buy a DLC coded pen, right? The only difference here was this kind of camo clip and the red bolt, right? Now this thing is sharp, tight. I mean, if you hear it, this says they're older bolt action. It's much longer, but man, oh man, does it. I think this works much better with their longer, stronger spring than their newer ones. Like this guy right here, which is I believe this is stainless steel. So if you look at let's look at the J shape here. Zoom on in. Old bolt on the left, new bolt on the right. If you guys can see. But there's much more travel distance. You can see it in like kind of like this J hook shape here. This one's just down and over, right? Whereas this is like so. Yeah, I finally bought the Stealth because I realized it was literally the only seasonal I didn't have, and I'm like, you know what? I will track down. At the time, too, this adder to get that, I was like, there was, in reality, that's the real adder, right? Because you could buy a DLC, a black DLC bolt any day of the week, right? That was the real adder, and at the time, kind of like with my Ultim Vertex here, I didn't have the money for it. Like, I had the money for, I shouldn't say I didn't have the money for it, but like, I didn't want to spend the money, or it really wasn't in the budget. Like, I was already picking up another pen way back when that was new, because that was like the third one maybe, somewhere around there. And then basically because it was just DLC, I was like, well, if I'm gonna get it, gotta get the, the added sight tritium dot on top, and I couldn't float, basically. Or didn't want to, or like high enough priority, basically. But then I ended up finding one for a good price. But I did have to. Oh, we never finished that story. So on this is actually a replacement bolt, because I bought this, and the guy's like, "Oh, I never daily carried it." Well, the red on the bolt, which you couldn't see on the eBay photos, was worn the hell to death. The rest of the pen isn't, because it's DLC. I mean, like, nothing, diamond like carbon. So it's like, that's why I said it's really, here. Those ridges are like taking off my skin, So, but they got me a new bolt, actually. Like, I was able to contact them. And even though I didn't purchase this, I did pay for the new bolt, because that's considered wear anyway. It's not like a warranty part of the thing. But they were able to. And I was like, hey, I saw you had red on this other one. Are you able to just paint me up one or something like that? I don't know if they painted me up one. They actually sent me 2 over. Or they might have just made X amount and had some left. But it's slotted right in, and this thing's, like I said, you wouldn't know this was a used one. This guy, the box is right here for. Burn only X tactile turn. Had to have this one because of the knurling. Slim side click. This one I actually missed out on. But then I commented on the Instagram post, like, hey, are you gonna sell more? I think they did eventually. In my case, Sony reached out and was like, hey, I bought this for my buddy because I knew he'd want it, and I knew it was gonna sell out fast. Turns out he already has it. Like, as in, like, he also ordered one himself. So he had it extra, and I expected to pay a bit more or something. Nope. Just like I try to pass it along for others, he sold it to me for what it cost him to get it. Which, couldn't thank him enough, because he could have easily, most of these limited edition pens, or even the seasonal ones at times, or like this one right now, I got this direct from Tactile Turn. It's kind of where I was going to go too. This guy on eBay right now, $400. I didn't spend that. I spent the normal price for one of their side click pens, right? And it feels like a good one. One of these days I got to get David one of these, because he has, I think, a slim one, but the action, the side clickiness, like is so much better on the full size compared to the, you got all that mush in the slim guy. And I think it's because, like, here it stops at the top. That's my thought, at least. See, it stops at the top. Whereas, or it's something to do with this, but this guy, when you push it all the way in, it goes past, and not by much, but you can push it in the body. So it doesn't like have a hard stop, because you never push it down all the way. You got this last little bit, whereas these are very much, that's all the way in. and it's still up a little bit. You know, I believe the side click can fit because of its mechanism. And what I mean by that is because you can push straight down and it barely has to over travel in order to click. Whereas like the bolt, you obviously have to go over this nubbin here and then it goes back up, right? Or even a standard click style pen, when you click it in, it actually goes past and then comes back up to lock in, right? So like something like an EDK, which I don't have one around here. But with the side click, it effectively, like there's a little wedge in there. All it has to do is go past the wedge and have the wedge drop in. And there's just like that much of play. But for some reason on the Slim, you have that much more play in it after the fact. I don't know if that was purposely added, but still to this day, like here's a brand new, I mean, at least as of 2024, full-size side click, and it just the action is more solid. You know what I mean? Now, I will admit, I do change out these to G2 springs, whereas these have the original longer, more coarse spring. That may have something to do with it, but if you don't do that on the Slim pens from them, the refills will bind up because the hole for the refill is smaller, and the fact that at least with the refills I use, and I think Squares has experienced it even on his one stock, like his stock version. The spring goes over the edge of the refill if you don't have it in just right, and it'll just lock it up so you can't even advance it, and you have to take it all apart. And then also, because the spring is that little bit longer, getting the cap on and lining it up correctly means you have to actually like slightly depress the spring. Whereas if you go with the G2, the spring's a little bit shorter, so you can put the whole cap on without pressure being on it. I don't think that has anything to do with the travel though, because it's even if you stop right away, it's just a mushier feeling, and that's not just the. You can hear when it bottoms out, it's a little bit more kunk, whereas the other one's a little bit mush. Not anything bad, right? But if you were to ask me, which pen would you get? I would get standard side click, right? And I would get Slim Bolt from Tactile Turn. Or the other option would be skip the standard bolt. You have a standard side click. Get yourself a chunky boy like this, like a Micarta, right? Because they don't make thick. Like that's getting you something unique. They don't make thick side clicks. Otherwise, the bolt and the side click normally basically the same. Size, dimensions, etc. Just different action, right? So if you're gonna go with a non-slim bolt, you know, like here, this Carryology is a great example of. I can put the Uniball refill in here without any sort of modification. I do swap the spring to the G2, and this thing writes beautifully. I grab it all the time. You know, or if you are going to go standard bolt, M-Bright, check that out maybe, just for something unique, because that is also not available in a side click. I would say these aren't as nice for day-to-day because the tip is fatter. It's like more blunt, it feels like. I do like them because they're very unique, you know. Or go with something like that Montana Knife Co. Or the, you know, like this is a DDC Tactile Turn. This is still a standard thickness bolt. Would I go Slim Bolt or would I go Smooth Operator? I would go Slim Bolt. Reason being is when you hold this like this, how I do, and then I actuate the bolt, I've shown it in other videos, even sometimes the first time, because the action of having to do this, you're pushing it this way, right? This way, it unscrews it. You're basically, if you hold it with your pinky here and go like that, you unscrew it. Now this bottom is a little bit better, but the original DLC bottom, I had to put wax on just to give it a little bit more friction. I put it on this. I didn't do that one right away. But this one, put it on right away. It's better. So add some wax, but it's just because of where you hold it. And you're never going to run into that issue on the slim guy because the tip is way down here where it normally is. Way down here. And you're gonna hold it like that and go like that. That's where knurling's kind of nice too if you can find one. Usually that's only on their special edition or limited edition or collabs, stuff like that. There's also the switch click. I don't know if I would recommend it yet. Apparently this is the Gen 2 mechanism, and it like when you push on it, it doesn't unlatch. Whereas my original launch one, there'd be times where it wouldn't stay down if you held it like wrong. You'd be writing and it'd push it in. I did finally warranty it with them because I was like, is it me? Is it that? Because I'm also using a cut down Uniball. This Uniball is cut down as far as you can cut it down. I might have showed it previously, but it is cut down to the end of the label, which leaves like 1 to 2 mil of air above the gel, and that's what pushes pushes the gel down the refill. But when they announced it, they actually announced that they were using cut down G2 refills, and I'm like, well, if you guys are using cut down G2 refills, there's no reason I have to stick to a Parker. I can use a cut down Uniball, right? So that's what I did, and this one came back and it's been working flawlessly. But I do want to play with it more because the internals, like this top peg here and the one up there are, I believe they're titanium, and this is brass. And on the previous one, I could tell that after a while, right in there between the two detents, right? So there's a detent there, and there's one right there that it locks into. I could tell that the brass was wearing substantially. Like I have close up macro photos from the, I don't know if it's Pixel 9 Pro, it might have been, otherwise Pixel 7 Pro, and you can really see where it just ran a groove through there. So until I run this through the paces, that's why it's not in, like it's in one of these cubes over here, even though it's not a brand new pen, because I bought this one to be a normal daily driver. That is why, if you notice, it is just a plain old titanium, at least name on the clip. You know what I mean? I'm willing to personalize it. Also shows that it's kind of like when you don't get your license plate from Montana, when you actually get it from where you live. That, it's yours, you plan to keep it, etc. But especially because I could cut down the Uniball refill and use it, I was going to keep this one because it is a little bit shorter than, like a standard side click. It's quite a bit shorter. Here, right about there. And they will not make it with a full size, like a standard length. It's only going to be the Parker, or they might do a shorter one. The reason being is it's already this long with a Parker size refill. But they did say because it could have been made into like a full length, it'd just be like a fucking spear, that, they mentioned that they were using a cut down G2, probably because that's what they have in stock, a lot of, because everything ships with it. And I'm like, oh, if they're using a cut down G2, I can use cut down Uniball. But it went to the point where like you go like that and it wouldn't even stay down. It could pop back up. I could go bling 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 bling. Or if you would get the stick down, you touch your tip to right and it would pop back up. Useless. So until personally, at least until I, kind of like know this thing's good, I can't, like, the switch click is fun. You can kind of sit there and do this. I would still argue that the side click here that's more satisfying to me because there's a bunch of ways where you can play with it. So this one was a bit of a quest. This Whataburger. It's got the Texas logo. We got the Texas Blade Shows Side Click Standard Whataburger, and it is the 2024 one. They do a special for some of the shows they go to. They'll do special pens for it. Like I said, I saw this one. They were showing it off, I believe, actually, with this guy on their Instagram for the Knife Co. And I'm like, hey, which pen is that? You guys don't have many ones with orange. And then they don't have so many of these that even when I sent in the request and be like, hey, your Instagram told me I could get this still. You had a couple left. They're like, I have no idea which pen you're talking about. And I had to go back and take a screenshot and send it over. So, like I said, this one is rare. I got it for the normal price for their side clicks, or at least their limited series side clicks or special edition side clicks. So what I was going with that is, hey, don't unless it is like a limited time thing and they literally say they're out on the website or something, just reach out. They may have another one and are willing to sell you to it. So instead of buying this for $400 on the secondhand market paying scalpers, you can just pay the company directly and they'll help you out. So that's, I mean, at least the second time. It's been more that they've helped me out in non-warranty ways. If you include warranty ways, I would say every other pen from them, sadly. Buy the more established designs. You see this guy? Side clicks went around for years. This one came here, is immaculate. Love it. Almost every time, including this Maverick knife here. The first batch of them had their issues. I don't think I had issues with the first batch of full-size side clicks ever. That was pretty early on. I actually showed you guys the first seasonal, and I have a copper one that is older than that. That was when they first introduced the new model. But keep an eye out. I usually wait until they have a seasonal version of it. That was still a mistake with certain other ones though, because they introduced stuff on the seasonal. So, but they're good. They're good about it. It was years later. Squares sent in his, I believe, slim bolt. I'm trying to remember correctly, because the clip fell off, and we tried screwing it back on because you're like, oh, it's just Torx. Just Torx. It wouldn't thread, and you could even take the clip off and just try and put the screw in, and wouldn't catch a thread. They're like, what? What do you mean? No, that shouldn't be like that. And we're like, that's what. No, it was his side click. It was a side click. And the only time we could get it to thread in was, I believe, when it was up, and you'd have to thread it in to the point where you couldn't push it down because it was hitting, or it might be the other way, but it was hitting the plunger. So no idea what happened. Of course, I broke it at work. I'm like, dude, I feel so fucking bad for breaking your pen. Like, what? I don't even. He's like, I don't know what you did either. Like, you didn't do anything abnormal with it. It just like got loose and fell off. I no idea. Because there's actually like a pin. Like, you're like, oh, one screw. That's why it fell off, because it pivoted. No, there's actually a pin, dowel pin on the inside that there's a hole on each of these. That's what prevents it from turning. The screw's just what holds it on there. It's actually a really nice design. Arguably better than this one that tends to bend. And better than their older, I don't even have one over here right now. There's one that has 2 screws, much bigger, much bulkier. They were actually, when they went to the slim version, that's when the new clip came out, and they're like, hey, we're putting in the other ones. The slim version, I don't know if it would have been possible. I don't remember which pen it was, but because the dimensions are different. Remember how I said this guy, especially in slim bolt form, can take a Uniball without modification. And here, you got a mushier click. So there's definitely some dimensional change. The only one that I was told was never changing was our standard bolt. Even though technically this J shape has changed, apparently the rest of it, like, it's never going to go to the new clip style. They've been making that bolt for a good long while. So it kind of makes sense. Oh, and yes, this one I did not get engraved purposefully because stainless steel. I just want this thing to be like a chonky monolith, devoid of all. Watch out for this guy too. Stainless steel, man. It'll eat up your other pens if you're not careful. Well, guys, let me know if you have any questions. And as always, like this is just one of the many times where, hey, if you're interested in something, reach out to the brand. There's a good chance that they're going to accommodate you. They want to sell you things. They want to have a good. I mean, it's why wouldn't they want to if they can? You know. Now there are places that won't be like that, but hey, then you don't buy shit from them. You know, if they like piss off when you ask them that, maybe they don't deserve your money. What you want to do is places like this. Maybe be a little bit careful with Tactile, especially like if you're a newbie to pens and you're buying their latest design right on release. I might hold off. Maybe go with one of their brand, their tried and true, like a standard side click here. That bad boy is as reliable as, you know. Yeah, I really like their products. You can see from this, I've got a few of them. You know. Any questions, comments? Throw them down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.